I grew up as a Jew, and in my childhood we were really just like everybody else. But then when the fascists promulgated the racial laws in '38, we were not like everybody else anymore. And so my husband was also anti-fascist, and so he was threatened, and we left the country. And first we took refuge in because somebody told my father that it was likely that the fascists would arrest him, and so we left the country in '38 when the fascists enforced the racial laws. So we left the country. We went first to Switzerland, then to Paris. We lived in Paris, and I studied there for 1 year, and then we emigrated to America in 39, maybe, when the war broke out. 39 was it, yes. And then I lived 7 years in America. I studied there.
You're very lucky.
Sure.
Your timing.
Sure. The whole family emigrated because it was lucky for the Jews of Italy, because the fascists had closed immigration. Italy was a country from where many people emigrated, but then the fascists needed cannon fodder for their wars, imperialist wars, so to speak. And so they shut the immigration. And that's how, when they enforced the racial laws against the Jews in 1938, the fascists had closed immigration from Italy for Italians and non-Jews. And so we were lucky because we could enter America in the quotas, because, you know, America had established quotas for each country, and I think there were 6,000 Italians that could emigrate to America each year, and so the Jews emigrated.
When you came back from America to Italy,
yes.
What was it like to be a Jew post-war in Italy?
Well, we came back. We felt we belonged. My husband was very active as an anti-fascist. So in '46 we came back. Well, he came back earlier during the war. He came back in '43. He was doing underground work working for the OWI, Office of War Information, to try to rebuild bridges between America and Italy, which had been a fascist country. And
he came back during the war?
No, he came back during the war. In '43, he went to London. He operated a clandestine radio station from London with the OWI, Office of War Information. He broadcast shortwave broadcasts trying to explain why Americans were fighting fascism and so on. And I joined him in '46 as a correspondent. I took a job as a correspondent of Religious News Service, and that's how I could join him. At the end of '45 or beginning of '46, they would let me come over.
Were there any experiences you remember of coming back as a Jew to Italy?
I was quite moved. My husband had come already during the war.
Right.
I joined him in '46. Actually, I came as a journalist, otherwise they wouldn't have allowed me to leave America. And I went to Germany for the Nuremberg Trials.
Wow.
And I covered the Nuremberg Trials, and then I started working as a journalist in Italy.
You covered the whole trials? Wasn't it several years?
Yeah. No, I covered the final part, the verdict and the last speeches, Goering's speech and so on. Yes, I covered the trials when I arrived.
What do you remember from that time period, from the trials?
Incredible to see these Nazis as vanquished people. And I remember Goering's last speech. He said he knew he would be sentenced to death. And he said, for us it is over, for us the Nazis. But I see the red menace coming up, and so he claimed that the Nazis were rescuing Europe from communists, you see. from Bolshevism, and he said that he saw this communist wave coming all over Europe. And that was really short before he was executed. It was quite an experience. It was I came as a journalist, otherwise they wouldn't. My husband was already in Italy. We were just only recently married. And so the only way I could join him was by having a job as a journalist. Yeah. So I got this job with the Religious News Service, and I came over here.
And when you came back to Italy, that was after the Nuremberg Trials?
No, I went to the Nuremberg Trials from Italy.
I see.
It was my first. I went there because the trials were on. I covered them for Religious News Service and for the Jewish Telegraphic Agency. And then I came to Italy and worked since then for many years as a journalist.
And was it difficult being a Jew in Italy after the war?
Not at all. No, not at all. On the contrary. On the contrary.
Why, people, it was easier?
Oh, actually, they wanted me also to enter politics. They offered me to join, to run for the elections for the Italian parliament. But somehow I became a president of the Union of Italian Jewish Communities. For many years I covered for too long. For 4 mandates, 16 years I was president of the Union, and I was also vice president of the European Jewish Congress, which was the organization of all European Jewish communities. So I was always interested in Jewish affairs. I became a correspondent for an Israeli newspaper that was called Ma'ariv, and then I had the Religious News Service, and I covered mostly minority Protestants, Jews, and yes, Protestants, Jews, Catholics. And I worked as a journalist for many, many years for the Jewish Telegraphic Agency, for Religious News Service. I did some stories for Time magazine.